Dupree is a financial advisor, educator, and social entrepreneur. As an experienced financial advisor, Mr. Dupree teaches and inspires people to raise their financial IQ about investing, budgeting, and saving. His passion for youth led him to establish Legacy Training Systems Incorporated. It's a nonprofit organization geared to empower African American males through literacy and work skills training. Mr. Dupree received his undergraduate degree from Oakland College, which is now Oakland University, and further studies in secondary education at the Alabama A&M University. In addition to his day job with the American International Group, Mr. Dupree serves as the president and CEO of Legacy Training Systems, youth program coordinator for the National Conference for Community and Justice, youth minister, and most importantly, a father and husband. Mr. Dupree has conducted workshops and seminars for various groups around the country, including colleges, universities, churches, nonprofit organizations, and businesses, where he inspires his audiences not to make it happen. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Mr. William Lamont Dupree.
Good afternoon. I want to, first of all, thank Dr. Williams and Ms. Crutcher for this opportunity to share with you all. And I want to thank the graduates of 2008. Congratulations. Give yourself a hand. Now, I've spoken at a few different occasions, and I've sat before several great speakers, and there's one thing that I've learned about speakers and events like this is one thing that sometimes you don't remember everything that the speaker said, and I want to be remembered. I want to make sure that Dr. Williams and Ms. Crutcher realize that they didn't just waste their time by having me to come here. So what I want you to do, each person should get a card like this. The young ladies and young men will be passing one of those out. And what I want you to do, in the off chance I say something that you may want to remember, or perhaps even share something that someone else said that's profound to you, or even some thought that may be provoked by something that we shared this afternoon, I want you to write it down on the card, and so you can have it for posterity. It's important for us as we matriculate and do these things, especially as graduates. You want to eliminate and minimize as many experiences where you have to say, man, if I had only known then what I know now. Because let me ask you this, how many of you would say, if I had only known then what I know now, maybe I would not have taken out so many student loans? If I had known then what I know now, maybe I would have studied just a little bit harder. Anybody in the room like that? I'm putting both hands up. So you want to take advantage of every opportunity you have to learn something so that you can minimize those experiences where you have to admit that. So everyone should have a card. If you have a card, hold it up for me. All right. So you have the blank side of your card. If you don't have writing utensil, I hope you have a really good memory. I didn't bring any writing utensils. Now I'm going to try to move around a little bit. So I'm going to go over here. And let me see, who can I get? I need a volunteer. One of the smart graduates. Come on up. He put his hand up. Introduce yourself to the people.
I'm David Mayo, graduate student. I'm graduating with the MSc in Mechanical Aerospace Engineering.
All right, give him a hand. I'll ask you a question. Recent polls have shown a fifth of Americans can't locate the United States on a world map. Why do you think this is? 1/5. That's 20 out of every 100 Americans.
I would think maybe lack of education, nobody may have told them, or maybe they didn't care.
Okay, all right, give him a hand. All right, that's the only question, that was it. Do you win? See me after. Now, how would you answer that question? The poll is that 1/5 of Americans don't know or cannot identify the United States of America on a map. How would you answer that question? Think about it. And while you're thinking, let me give you the answer that Miss South Carolina, who happened to be from my home state, answered this question at the recent Miss Teen America pageant. I personally believe the U.S. Americans are unable, and I'm quoting here, I personally believe the U.S. Americans are unable to do so because some people out there in our nation don't have maps. And I believe that our education, like such as South Africa and the Iraq, everywhere like such as, and I believe that they should. Our education over here in the U.S. should help the U.S., should help South Africa, and should help the Iraq and the Asian countries, so we will be able to build up our future for our children. Unquote. Now that was her answer to the question. Some of you may have viewed that on YouTube or even seen it on some of the recent reports on the news because it made national headlines. And we chuckle at that and we laugh and we kind of say, wow, maybe there is a need for better multicultural education. Or maybe some geography lessons would help as well. But let me ask you this question. If you were asked, can you identify where you are on your own life map? Would you stand there and perhaps state what you want to say? Would you be able to identify where you are? Or even if you could identify where you are, could you identify how you've gotten there and where you need to go for the future? Or would you stand there and like a deer in headlights and say, like this young lady did? What we want to do this afternoon is basically give you some hints on some things that you may want to do or consider as you get out there in the real world, quote unquote, because I believe all the world is the real world. But as you move from this incubated experience that you've had here at school into the world of work or even going on to matriculate at a different institution to further your studies, we want to give you some keys, some basic principles, some things you may want to consider that will help you in the future. And we want to do this by giving a test. And I know you all are tired of tests. Anybody tired of tests? Both hands up over here. This is going to be a fun test. This is going to be an easy test. It's just going to be a test on some slogans, mottos, or sayings that have made it into our American lexicon here recently. So I'm going to give you a test, and we're going to see what we can do, or what we need to do. All right. Now, what ages were some of you all born? Those that are graduating, what year were you born? In the 80s, 82, somewhere around the 80s. So you may be old enough to remember this first one. I have to go over to my bag here. And I'm going to give you a hint. This is a hint. If they don't fit, you must what? Acquit. If it doesn't fit, you must acquit. And most of us will recognize that from what? O.J. Simpson trial. Back in 1995, Johnny Cochran and his genius had O.J. Simpson try on some gloves. And they weren't pink, obviously. But I borrowed these from my little girl. Thank you, Maya. They were black gloves and not trying to figure out if OJ was innocent or guilty. Let's look at the saying. If they don't fit, you must acquit. Now what I would like to do is just kind of change that up a little bit to say, if it doesn't fit, change it. If it doesn't fit, you need to change it. What do we need to change? What is the it we need to change? Well, for some of us, the it is we needed to have changed our major. Because some of you, if you're honest with yourselves, will recognize that some of you are nurses or are going to be engineers or even physicists. But But you did it because, not because it was something you were interested in, it's because mom and them said, I always wanted to have a teacher in the family. Or I think you would be good as a nurse. Or I think being an engineer is something that's a good profession for you now. And when we look back at that, we took that advice and we went matriculated through the program, and now we're here getting ready to graduate when? On May 11th? May 11th, we're going to graduate with a major, and we really aren't feeling it. Because the truth be told, as a nurse, we may not be able to stand blood. And if they had asked, I cheated my way through thermodynamics. And I cannot stand, you want me to be a teacher, but I cannot stand those snotty-nosed brats, and the smell of them just makes me want to. Because we are not in the place that fits us. And so we're going to move from a major that doesn't fit us to a career that may not fit us as well. And understand, as statistics, I'm going to get that one out. Statistics say that less than 50% of Americans are happy with their careers in a recent satisfaction survey. As a matter of fact, the survey says if you want to have true happiness in your job, become a pastor or a priest, because they are the ones that have the highest level of job satisfaction. Or you can become a firefighter. You can even become a teacher. Any teachers in the house? All right. Or you can become a painter or a sculptor. Now there's an underlying significance about these careers. The study showed that those persons that were in the process of helping people had the most job satisfaction. So my first thing to you would be, is if you get out into your career, find something that you're able to help somebody with. I don't care if you are a nuclear physicist. Find a way to help someone, to give something back to someone else, and you will find some kind of satisfaction in your life and in your career. So if it doesn't fit, you got to do what? Change it. Now our second one. Go back to my background. Bring this over here. All right. Now you have to listen for this one. Could you hear that? What company? Staples. Staples put out this little gadget, and you've seen it on the commercials, where they say, all you got to do is push the button, and that was easy. And it automatically just changed the entire picture. But let me say to you, there is no red button in life that you can just push and everything come out all right. As a matter of fact, I have good news and I have other news. There is no bad news with me. It's always either good or other. The other news I'm going to give to you first. The other news is this. Life is tough. Life is tough. Things are hard. There is nothing easy worth doing in life. The things that are most worth it are those things you have to struggle with, those things you have to challenge yourselves. Let me ask you a question. How many of you took a class, and when you looked at the roster and you saw the list of teachers, and someone said, you don't want to take her, you don't want to take him, you may not, because why? They're hard. But somehow your schedule got mixed up and you ended up having to take them anyway. And you had to struggle and fight and challenge yourself in that class. Can you look back now and say that that's probably one of the classes that you learned the most in? Some are saying nope. But then I would say, what grade did you make in the class? Because that would matter too. I remember when I was in school, that's what happened to me. The classes and the teachers that I can remember are those that pushed me. And one year I was in school at Oakwood, and the tuition there was somewhat less than cheap at the time, and it still is. And so by the time I cleared financially, the only thing I could afford was the classes and room and board. I couldn't afford books. And I took one of the hardest history teachers that particular quarter, and he came into class and said, no one has made an A in my class. And I looked at him, and I said, in my mind, I'm going to be the first. I couldn't afford the book. I went to the library and checked the book out at a library at the school. And it was a later edition, but I kept checking it out. But I also read other history books because history doesn't change. So I was able and he encouraged us to get others' perspectives, read other books. And so I had to struggle to get that grade. And many of you are saying, did you get the A? No, I didn't get an A. But I learned a lot. I learned a lot. And I appreciated him for pushing me to the limit where I was. So I appreciate that. So understand, life is not easy. Things are hard. Marriage is not easy. Having children and rearing children is not easy. Finding a career that you love and enjoy is not easy. Getting through school has not been easy. And if it has been easy, I suggest you re-enroll and try again because there's some things you have not learned. If it was too easy for you, you need to do it again. Find those things that are hard and challenging because it's through those things that you're going to grow. And if you're not growing, you're just going easy skating by. And those that skate ultimately are going to end up in a ditch. The good news, life is tough, but guess what? You're tough. And when you're tough on yourself, life can be infinitely easier on you. That's according to Zig Ziglar. Michael Jordan says it this way. He says, I can accept failure. Everyone fails at something. I can't accept not trying. You can accept failure, but I can't accept not trying. And understand, true failure is when you fail to keep on trying. That's the definition of true failure. So keep